So hi, greetings there people of YouTube, and I'm doing it. I'm doing something that I thought I would never do. And this incredibly special and momentous occasion, I am taking a look at the technically not Transformers, that being the Metagate Red Fantasy, also known as a third-party version of the Bumblebee movie SHATTER. This is not only my first third-party figure, it is also my first Masterpiece scale figure, so I'm scared, I'm excited. You can tell by the tone of my voice that I am taking this incredibly seriously. Third-party figures in this context are Transformers figures that aren't made nor licensed by Hasbro or Takara Tomy. So basically it's a physical manifestation of a fan art. And speaking of fan art, this packaging looks great. It's a lot more low-key than what I had expected, so why don't we just take a close look at it? This artwork of Shatter looks fantastic. I love the art style of it. And these are the incredible fellas who made this figure, Metagate. They look to be the new third-party kid on the block. I mean, all of their figures look amazing to me. And here you can see that it is designated towards kids ages 15 and up. On this side, you can see that it says G05 Red Fantasy there. At the back of the box, you can see not much. On this side, another G05 Red Fantasy. At the top of the box is a render of the incredible looking car mode. At the bottom, the same thing for her jet mode. And can I just say, this packaging is incredibly heavy. Safe to say that I am more than excited to open this thing up. And yeah, why don't we just get into that right now. Oh my god. And here's Shatter as she arrived in her car mode, and this thing is beautiful. And this car mode is my least favorite mode of the three. Very good. It's clean for what it is. I mean, it's got a lot of junk in the trunk and on the bottom and pretty much everywhere that's not the top. But she's got to transform into 3 modes, and I don't mind it at all. This engine piece is die-cast metal, by the way. That's pretty cool. You can just see that at least from this angle, this car mode looks borderline perfect. Love the details they added into these light bars, making them transparent. And they're quite sturdy too. I don't worry them breaking at all. Speaking of which, she's got these 2 rear view mirrors, which were on runners out of the box, and you can put in a foil sticker, but I'm not gonna do that because I don't like putting stickers on things. But once you plug them in, they won't come out too easily, and they are on hinge joints, so that's kind of fun. Top of the car, bit panel-tastic, but she's gonna transform to 3 modes, so I don't mind it at all. And they gotta love how the feet make the taillights. That's so clever. That's just the word I'd use to describe this figure in general. It's so clever. Transformation from robot to car is a bit key, but it's really satisfying once you get it all tabbed in, and I just love the end result. Everything tabs together properly. It's extremely solid. Bottom kibble is annoying, sure, and it prevents you from rolling her freely, but you really gotta be grateful with what you get. It's a triple changer live action movie figure. It's not gonna be perfect, but it is close. Also, here is a nice look at the bottom kibble so that you'll know how it's supposed to look like when you transform this thing from robot mode back into car mode. Trust me, everything will line up into place, and it's really satisfying. Nowhere to store the weapons, but I don't mind. It's a third-party Masterpiece figure. It doesn't have to. And that was her car mode. Really good for what it is. But I gotta be snappy here because we have a lot to talk about. So now let's do some size comparisons. Here's Red Fantasy, aka Shatter, next to, because I still have him in his alt mode, Earthrise Megatron. Surprisingly, it's actually not that much smaller than Shatter. But of course, a lot more mass shifting goes into this figure as opposed to this figure. And she's just much heavier due to her die-cast construction. Oh mama. Comparing her to another triple changer, here's the Legacy Evolution Blitzwing. Comparing her to a regular 6-inch scale figure, we have the Marvel Legends Mr. Knight. A 3 3/4 inch scale figure, the Jurassic World's Fallen Kingdom Owen Grady. And finally, Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Camaro Bumblebee, which I've never noticed that their alt modes look really similar. I mean, of course, this is a Camaro and this is a type of muscle car or something. I forgot the actual name. But the shaping and the light bars really make them resemble each other. And I know this is very, very out of scale, but it's still pretty cool to me. But maybe it'll be in scale with their jet mode. We'll have to get to that later. This car mode is fantastic, but this is a mere tip of an iceberg that is this figure. Starting to rain, fantastic. Now, one thing before I do this transformation, if you want to use my instruction as a guide, I recommend you to not only follow what I do, but to analyze all the joints that are in here because there are a lot of them and it can be really difficult to track them all. So again, just analyze what you're doing, slow down if you think you've made some mistakes, and just go through it slowly because you really don't want to ruin this figure. Saying that though, the transformation is surprisingly really fun. Well, how is it? Let's take a look. A little reminder, you want to unpeg the hands before spreading out the thighs. As you can see, the head just detached there, but if you're careful and you rotate the head the right way, it won't detach, but I'll just plop this in later for dramatic effect. And here's Shatter in her robot mode. That's a bit too big for my review station. And she is absolutely glorious. She's big, she's detailed, she's articulated. What's not to love? Now, I would get straight into her accessories, but she really only has one for this robot mode and a couple others. So I'll just go through them while I look at her details. Comparing Shatter here to this one CGI render that I can find, and need I say more? For an actual triple changing masterpiece Shatter figure, this thing did an excellent job in replicating this robot mode. Now, she does have a bit of back kibble. Gonna have to rewatch the Bumblebee movie to check out if this is actually accurate to the movie or not. Now, for what it is, even if it's not accurate to the film, I'd say it's alright. I mean, at least it's not this piece of crap. Just the nature of this design makes it so difficult to transform into toy form, but I think Metagate did a fantastic job with this gal. It's gonna take forever if I were to talk about every single detail that are on this gal. Sorry. So I'll just cover some of my favorite bits, one of them being this head sculpt. You cannot tell me this is not Shatter from the Bumblebee movie. You can have her neck recessed or not, both look good to me. The rest of the figure just looks good. Love the way the chest came out, lots of silver paint here. Arms may look a bit lanky, but not terrible. And the legs are probably my favorite part aside from the chest and the head, so don't take that out of context. Actually, please do, because these inner thighs are made out of die-cast metal and... no. Not doing that. No honey, no honey, no honey, no honey, no honey. Oh crap. But to be fair, it's not just her in her thighs. I can feel some die-cast metal in her toes, some miscellaneous part of the legs, and some in the chest compartment. I'm sure there are others, but those are just all that I can sense. Now, these pair of wings here are actually movie accurate, and that's really cool. As well as these wheels here, which become the jet intakes. Metagate, you have my consent. But I take that back because these thighs are... it's not doing it because it's on camera. They're a bit easy to detransform because most of the friction here came from this one little tap here. Just don't handle it like a moron and you'll be good. I mean, why the hell would you handle this like a moron? This thing's freaking expensive, dude. But it's honestly worth that price of admission so far. Especially because you get her weapon. This arm cannon is detailed really nicely and can be easily integrated within your arms. Make her do a fisting gesture, slide that thing in, and plug this necessary tab, you're good to go, and this looks awesome! The integration is so smooth, it really looks like it had transformed out of her arm. And you can see these 3 tab holes here which can hold her missiles that will be used in her plane mode, but that looks a bit overkill for me. I don't like taking pictures of her with that, but on my display I take it. You can also do this for some reason. Maybe if she's feeling a little lonely? No. Cringe. And you can make her do a lot of poses with this cannon. A shooting pose, a talking pose, and other stuff like that. It's so good. And that's obviously because the posability is so good. I'm gonna take a page right out of that Toy Guys book here and showcase a type of pose reel segment before the actual posability segment, because this thing is nuts. You'll have to see to believe. So as you can see, the posability on this figure is just top notch. And let's go through them real quick. Her head is on a double ball joint, so you can look all over the place. Can look up that far, can look down that far. That's insane. Of course, can rotate side to side and a pivot. This head ornament can rotate, but that's for the transformation. Her shoulder pads are on a ball joint, so you can adjust them however you like. Now the arms have a lot of joints. She can rotate her arms 360 if it's not blocked by this piece, but this is honestly enough. Got a shoulder joint that goes outward here, and also a ratchet joint here. Mamma mia, look at that. And she has a butterfly joint that moves inward, so you can make her do the cross arm pose, and that just looks so sick. Bicep rotation, elbow bends all the way on a single hinge joint, that is fantastic. Wrist swivels and can hinge up and down just a little bit if you face it this way. This is also a thing. And as far as her hands go, ball joint at the base of her thumb and 2 hinge joints there. Index finger is on 2 hinge joints, and the rest of her fingers are also on 2 hinge joints. The classic MP style index finger 3 finger separation. Her wings can move up that far and can be adjusted down just a little bit like that. It's not that much, but it's appreciated. The back flaps can rotate to the sides and hinge up and down. A somewhat loose waist swivel that you have to move these 2 pieces out to activate that. Again, it is a bit loose, but not a deal breaker. Amazing ratcheted ab crunch that goes 90 degrees. I don't often use it to this extent, but it's really cool that you have the option. Also, please be careful, these 2 pistons can detach easily. Legs can kick forward on a ratchet that far. Yeah, there you go. Can kick back about that far. Can move out about that far. Also weird that this one is on a ratchet and this one is not. Maybe it broke, maybe it's an engineering mistake, but it doesn't feel too loose, so I'm not bothered by it. Thigh rotation, man, this thing is really heavy. A single bend at the knee that also bends in all the way, just like the elbows. And finally, for her ankles, can't move down, move up that far, elbow, no rotation, and there is a double ankle pivot that are very loose. The ankles in general are my biggest problem with the stability of this thing. Most of the time she stands just fine, but just a little bit of nudge can... Yeah, but this is where the stand comes in. Yes, now I knew this stand was gonna be included with the figure, but I did not know that this will be useful in her robot mode. The base itself looks really nice and has some little rock texturing to us. You can arrange it any way you like with these 3 slots and these 2 tabs here. By tabs, I mean like huge blocks, look at that. But for her robot mode, I recommend this arrangement. Make sure the bottom strut is extended fully and the top strut extended not at all. And you can see this peg and a tab. That'll groove really nicely into this back section here. Mind you, it's not the easiest to do on camera and I'm out of focus. Yeah. And now you are assured that this figure won't go anywhere on your shelves. And yeah, this is an absolutely amazing feature that I'm really glad they implemented into this figure. Also, I forgot to mention that her ankle guards are on a hinge joint. Just a little bit. And she does have a toe joint. Whew, mama, that was a lot of figure to talk about. And again, I'm trying to be snappy here, so let me just go straight to her size comparisons. Here's Shatter next to Earthrise Megatron, Legacy Blitzwing, and you can just see how much taller she is than Blitzwing. Comparing her to another Red Jet Fembot, here's the Legacy United Windblade. To a regular 6-inch scale figure, we have the Marvel Legends Mr. Knight. Owen Grady, and am I crazy or are these two actually in scale? They look great together. And finally, here's Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, and they are not in scale with each other, but I still think they look cool in a way. I mean, Shatter's definitely getting her revenge for sure. And that was the entirety of the robot mode, and guess what? We're not even done! We still have the jet mode to go to, and to make my life just a little bit easier, I'm gonna half transform her into her car mode just to reduce the amount of steps needed. And yeah, let's get to it. Before I half transform her, there's something I'd like to tell you, and that is you want to fold out this landing gear right here before collapsing her legs. And I'm not gonna comment on this at all because I don't want to get cancelled. Alright then, let's get started. Pro tip, you want to make sure these shoulder pads are underneath the head. And after a transformation that was very, very fun, yes, I really enjoyed that. No, I didn't. It's fine off camera, but on camera, I wanna KMS. But anyways, here's Shatter in her jet mode, and despite it looking not so great, upon first glance at least, this is actually my second favorite mode. Just the thought of having this huge ass jet on my display is so amazing. From a bird's eye perspective, this thing looks flawless. From the side, it looks okay, and from the bottom, don't look at it from the bottom. This is objectively not the best thing in the world, but I personally really love it. And it's really big too. It's like the only mode that won't fit in my rotating base. Would whoosh around if she's not this expensive. But yeah, she's fairly solid. Except for these kind of annoying, but I can live with it. And these two. Yes, proper landing gear. So you can roll her around, not in this review station unfortunately. But yes, she does roll quite well and it's pretty fun. And that's what I'd say in general. This jet mode is just fun. Not the cleanest thing in the world, but I absolutely love the fact that they used the wheels as the jet intake. That's so clever. And if you see these tab holes on the wings here, you can plug the included missiles into them. Sadly, I lost one of them. God damn it. Oh well, it's not a big deal, just a $20 worth of missile. And guess what? The cockpit does open. Can't put anything in there other than your wheat. And there's barely any interior details, but this is still a bang up feature. I love that they included this. But my favorite feature from this jet mode is hands down the fact that if you flip down all her landing gears. Love the way this one stores, by the way. That's super satisfying. And now we just do this one, which is actually inside of the head. It is a bit scary, this one, so I recommend be careful with it. Yeah, pull out this, you might need something to help you out with that. Pull out this clasper, bring back the flight stand, angle the top tip like this, and plug these two tabs into these two portholes. You can make it as if the jet is actually flying, and oh my gosh, that is amazing. Love this thing, love this thing, love this thing! Though you do have to be careful because the connector peg is actually made out of clear plastic. So far it's pretty strong, but just be careful with it. Yeah, I love this jet mode. I love this figure. No doubt about it, this is my favorite thing in my collection. We'll save that thought for now and let's swoop her into the size comparisons. Here is Shatter that doesn't fit into my review station next to Blitzwing's jet mode, and yeah, Shatter is definitely a way better jet former than Blitzwing. Still definitely a good mainline triple changer though. Here she is next to Windblade. Yeah, 2 red jets, really cool. Here's Mr. Knight, Owen Grady, and no, they are not in scale. And finally, Rise of the Beasts Bumblebee, and oh yes, these two look right next to each other. And that would be the end of my review for the Metagate Red Fantasy, also known as the Bumblebee movie version of Shatter. I am so grateful to have this thing in my hands. I legit didn't think I would ever own it, but I did, and the figure is just amazing. I can't, I'm lost for words. It's so good. I am legitimately lost for words right now. This thing, just, if you have the cash to spare, if you love Transformers, I'd say get this thing real quick. It also helps for me that the Bumblebee movie is actually the first piece of Transformer media I ever liked, so this character technically does have a place in my heart. And this figure is definitely my favorite and most prized possession that I've owned. Before we end it, I'd like to give a couple of shoutouts. Thank you to my friend Aji, whom hooked me up with the thing. Seriously, I can't thank you enough, man. This thing is so cool. And thank you to my college friend Sania again for introducing me to Aji. And last but not least, I would like to thank my mom. Thank you so much for buying this for me. This thing is not cheap at all. Again, I'm really grateful for the fact. And this figure just feels like fantasy. I would sing a song, but I'm not Jobby. I don't have that good of a voice. So if you have enjoyed this very ambitious review, please do leave a like and a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you all would recommend it to everyone else. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you all next time. I would make a forbidden joke, but I don't wanna. You know what I meant. Transformers, I'm tired to do anything right now. This is my next review. Yay.